My dog's trying to get a ball back here. What are you doing?
Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee from All Ends Media, and you are now on Plan and Traffic. And we got Brian Boss One in the house, special guest, and we got Terry Coverman 66. What's happening, guys?
Cooling.
Good deal, bringing it. We're live.
My man, Bossone in the house. Lewis Lee. What's happening, gentlemen?
It's another day in the big city here in Ohio.
Yeah,
beautiful day today.
Oh, you're in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm in Youngstown, Ohio.
That's where we're supposed to be. Our event in June 13th supposed to be at what do you call it? Killcare Dragway in Ohio. Okay. You guys, they're not letting anything happen in there.
Wow. Lockdown.
Yeah, the track. There's no spectators. I think they're just starting to maybe doing some test and tune stuff. But I was talking to the new track manager of Edgewater Sports Park, is where I was just editing those episodes, and he took over, and he opened up for a private test session in a car, that Dirty 30 rat rod. Do you see that thing had the bad accident with fire? That was at that track.
Yeah, I caught that.
They came in, and when they saw people standing around, they arrested him, the track manager.
Really?
Yeah, they arrested him, which essentially put a lockdown. Then it caused all kinds of, I guess, negative press for racetracks, and then it affected Killcare, and then now it's been a slow process with them to work to kind of get in the good graces and figure out a real sustainable plan of opening these tracks up.
Yeah, it just takes one. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, the tracks, you can spread people out far enough where you can watch the races, Yeah. It's just, these politicians are they're rich. They don't care if we shut down. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things. So let's talk about this, if you guys don't mind, for a minute. I'm in the live event business, and I'm also a strong believer in safety, because that's one thing that I never want to be responsible for someone else getting hurt. So you have to walk as a promoter a fine line of making a living, providing a entertainment for people, be able to make money for myself and my family, and then walk the rope of, will somebody, because you open up a big facility like that. My dog is sneezing back there. Stop sneezing. You walk that fine line, though, of having morals where, all right, well, we want to rush to open up, but do we want, when somebody goes there and one person has it, and let's see, I don't care if it's 3 people have it, and somebody gives it to their grandmother that has a low immune system and all that stuff, and somebody passes away. Does that morally fall back on you? It does, to a point. You know what I mean? Because
that's true.
It's one of those things where you're taking on a moral responsibility. So I say for a track owner, for a promoter, or any other business, you have moral responsibility, number one, but you also have the freedom of being in America too, where you can't let people locked at home. They will make their decision to come.
Right.
But it's hard for me to go out there, like when what's his face from Summer Raceway Park got on there and said, "I'm opening up. I don't care. And that was like 3 weeks ago. And we had discussions with other track owners and stuff, and they were not happy about that, what he said, because he's got a responsibility for your mom and your mom and your mom. If you go to the racetrack, you take COVID-19 home, and your mom dies or gets really sick, it's his fault for opening his track before we feel it's safe. But when do you open? That's the big question mark of the world. When is it going to be safe? So it's a tough. We're in a tough situation, especially being in the entertainment business. I mean, you talk about bands, and millions and millions of jobs, not just, and we don't go back to normal when we go back. We'll go back 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. So reality is that even if I went out tomorrow and they said, hey, you can have an event, you can have 25 people, 25% of the crowd, social distancing, and we take all these proper steps. For us to go out there, to turn on the lights, bring the cameras out, and do it is about $50,000.
Yep,
25%.
you'll never make that.
If I go to a small track that only holds 4,000 people, And what are you going to do? You can't upcharge it. Right now, you can't go, well, just because there's 25% of the people, we can't charge them anymore. In the world we live in right now, you can't even charge what you charged before. If anything, you should be doing it for free or doing it for $5 or $10. So, it's a tough one for us this season, We want to do the right thing, But we also don't want to be poor and living out in the streets.
Right.
And we got contracts with networks that we have to supply. What do you do with that? I mean, they're understanding. They're playing reruns right now and stuff because even our editors, the funding to pay them to edit 25 plus shows isn't cheap,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they understand.
Yeah, it's a mess. But I tell you what, Florida is doing it well. Florida and Texas. I mean, you guys are opening up pretty.
I moved from Texas to Florida.
Yeah.
Couldn't get screwed either way. But we're opening up and moving around. But I'm telling you, the biggest problem is, and I'm sorry to babble on about this, is I'm not a real huge Mark Cuban fan, but he said about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, he said one thing that made more sense than anything else. It's not when we open up. It's not how we open up. It's how a business owner is going to make a customer feel comfortable enough to come back to your facility.
Yeah.
My mom won't leave that house. We could go to restaurants right now, small capacity stuff. My mom they both have sicknesses and they will not step in there because they don't feel comfortable enough. So it's going to be a long time before anybody. So it's the job of the facility, the track, the restaurant, the movie theater to make everybody feel comfortable. And that's why you see all these emails pumping in from Hertz Rent-A-Car now. We've got all kinds of connections because we travel so much. Well, I got an email in a couple of days ago from Hertz where now they put a seal on the door that they disinfect it, and the only person that pulls the seal off is the person that rents the car. That's the new normal, gentlemen. That's the new normal. But shouldn't they have done that shit before, though?
Yeah.
Every time I got a damn thing, I got sick.
Just shows how hurt we were before, I guess.
It's like a flying petri dish of freaking plane,
It is.
I told my wife and my partner, my business partner, I said traveling over the next 2 years is going to be the safest and best it's ever been. It'll be less sick people. Insurance claims will go down. More people will go back to work because they're going to be healthier because of this. So there's one possible positive out of this craziness, but this is something that should have been done years ago. It's like they put a stop sign up after somebody gets killed in a car accident or something like that. Yeah. It always takes somebody to die before they do something right,
Yep, you're right.
But that's it. I'm not talking about shit about that stuff. What's up, guys?
What's up, Ray?
What's up?
How's it going, fellas?
All right.
Now, this is the discussion you're going to hear at every turn. Everybody's talking about it, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, because it's affecting everybody. I mean, every business, everybody.
Yeah.
There's a picture in the Daily News today in New York, and a guy it was in Manhattan or Brooklyn in his restaurant, and he put up plexiglass sheets between the chair backs. And I'm thinking already, like, those chair backs were kind of close. You get a guy like you, Lewis, two tall guys or big guys. They can't move those chairs if there's nothing in the way. Now there's a plexiglass wall in the way. It ain't going to work. Things have to spread apart. Talking about 50% capacity, things like that. And again, like you said, Brian, it's all about making the customer feel safe enough to come back. I think now, I mean, we're dying to go back out to restaurants again, but I think if they open tomorrow, my wife and I said, you know what? I think we would wait a while. We'll just wait. Let the dust settle, see what's going to happen.
Yeah, Rob and my wife can go.
Not that important.
We'll do takeout. We'll pick up stuff. Yeah. We'll walk in, take out. But she's just, and you know what? That's a comfort level for her, and I'm not going to push it off. If she doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is you're supposed to go out and have a good time and relax. If you can't sit in some place and feel comfortable and relaxed, then really there's no sense in going.
Stay home. I mean, if you're going to be worried about, oh, man, like this person's next to me or, hand sanitizing every 5 minutes and, I can't touch this. Oh, my God, I touched the peanut bowl or what. Stay home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was at the sheriff's department today, and I usually when I go in there, I go to the bathroom upstairs, And I got on the elevator, and there was a guy on there, and we both were looking at each other. And you know, that's the new norm. You know what I mean? You know, you're looking at somebody crazy, like you better not sneeze.
Yeah. Or if someone missing clears their throat, everyone's looking.
Yeah,
That's true. You go to Walmart and you walk through, and like people look at you like you're wearing some crazy shit, like you got 5 heads, because you get close and you're like, oh my god, it's just terrible hysteria out there, and it's, you know, man, what's it gonna be like? You know, plastic walls and masks, and I mean, I get it, safety, and I hope that, you know, they come up with some sort of something to fix this, but it's going to be a while. I mean, we were just, before we got on, we talked about SEMA and PRI. What the hell? You're talking about what is it? 40, 50,000, 100,000 people jammed into a week period? I mean, and will that happen? That's the question. If there's a second wave of this stuff coming up, you know, Woodward Dream Cruise, like I just told you, gentlemen, before we got on to as well, it's been there for 25 years, the largest cruise in the country, probably the world. And yesterday, they put out there that the local government will not issue any permits, meaning no special event, no special event parking, no along the sides of the roads. So essentially, anything that has to do with this festival that was allowed through permits will not happen. They cannot stop people from cruising up and down the road, but that's fine. But the fun part was everything else that went around it and all the concerts and stuff. So 25 years, and that is August. That's freaking August they're doing this.
Yeah.
I
got a bad feeling about SEMA because it's just so many people. You know, in one day they have 150,000 people go through, 200,000. So how can you drop that down 20%? You know what I mean? There's no way.
Well, I think automatically you're going to get about 25 to 30% minimum that people are just not going to come if they're not going to feel comfortable. The rest of them come out there, but just imagine now when we had to, you know, I've been to SEMA, it was my 21st year. I'll be going back 22 years now. And I've seen the progression of how they've done security and everything when it came down to now what we go through metal detectors and crazy shit on the way in. What are they going to put on the way in? You're going to walk in, you're going to walk through a fog sanitizer and a hand wash station. I saw that. Actually, I shared that with one of my partners. They implemented that coming into one of the countries or somewhere. There's actually a walk-through blow-up deal where they missed theirs, and they missed you with the stuff. I'm thinking to myself, holy crap. What? You're getting sprayed in the face with this shit? So what's worse?
What is it? You know, like,
and what is it is right, because you know
and you can't go and you can't jump back on the plane and be like, I'm going home. You got
you know, on the right side of things, it would be a sanitizer that would be neutral to everybody, and but on the other side of things, like who the hell knows what they're spraying you with? You know, I mean, you can just use imagination
and asthma. I mean, you're talking about processing going into these things because of special problems. I can't go through. It'd be hours. It could be hours before you can even get into SEMA. God, you know, we should go in and out all the time. Zoom, zoom. You know what I mean? We're, you know, you guys are there.
The media.
I am all, I mean, we have 20, 30 meetings. I'm from in, out, around, up, down, back. I mean, we never sit still. Then we go on the stage with Shell, and then we got to go back out and do another one. That process was long and you know, arduous to get in there without right now with just the new, you know, metal detector stuff they put in place. Now, forget about it. Hell, they weren't if they put in a black light here or something like that to look for some shit. You know,
even with being media, you know, we get in a little bit easier, and it still took a long time.
Oh yeah, I did too. Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. A lot of people make a lot of money going to SEMA. You know, it's that place, and man, what's going to happen if it's not there?
I talked to Tom Bailey about the Woodward Dream Cruise because we go to Lapeer International Driveway, which is about 30 minutes from Woodward, where they have the cruise. We had a great event last year. It was packed from end to end. It was just a good time. We ran to almost 3 o'clock in the morning. It was nuts. It was just one of those events that we did. We called it a pre-party event. Tom Bailey, you know who Tom Bailey is, the world's fastest streetcar? You know, 6 seconds.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, 6 seconds. He does a pre-party every Friday before the Woodward. They call it a Woodward pre-party event. Well, he teamed up with Motor Trend, and they did it at the Concourse, M1 Concourse, right off of in Michigan there, off of Woodward. So we got involved with them, and we were out there on display on Friday. with RPM Magazine them. Then we did Saturday, we set up and we did an after party after the street drags for Motor Trends. And we had a party with a barbecue, a contest, and bands and everything Saturday night. And then Sunday we had our event, which ran pretty much all day and night on Sunday. And that following week, people start rolling in that Sunday to Monday because Woodward that whole week all the way through. Well, talking to Tom, I said, we just started discussing preliminary. If it gets canceled, you want to do something. So we're doing that all-out burnout thing. You saw that we're doing the burnout live. We're doing.
I'll have something for you soon.
Good. So a lot of the guys that we deal with and know are from Australia that we're friends with that come to the Dream Cruise. So Tom is a huge burnout guy. At the M1 concourse, he set up 2 steel plates and jersey walls. And part of his event with us was he did 2 side-by-side burnouts on metal plates. They did a big contest and we filmed it all, stuff like that. So we said, if we can't do Woodward on Woodward, if we could run a special event, maybe do something at Lapeer and maybe do like a track-to-track kind of thing, almost like a mini cruise or something like that, with a huge burnout thing like they do over in Australia.
Those guys are nuts.
Yeah, you saw it, right?
Oh, those guys are nuts. What's it called?
Yeah.
Carnival, I think it's called.
Nationals, I forgot what they call it over
Nats,
there.
the grand super
Nats.
Nats, something like that.
Summer Nats. So we want to do a summer Nats during whatever Woodward's supposed to be with Tom Bailey and set up somewhere to do that. So keep your eye out. We'll see what happens. If something's going to happen in Woodward during that week, we're not letting it die. I'm telling you, COVID-19 is not killing Woodward.
No.
We're not going down with that.
These guys be burning the tires off, man.
Yeah.
And then they get out.
Yeah, right. Insane. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So Terry, what are you doing up there? I mean, I see you pumping out a bunch of damn videos. They're good, man.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Wait until you see. I was filming tonight because you guys know about that Harbor Freight thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got some.
I got some too, but I got the different ones. But I'm going to be calling tomorrow morning to make sure they didn't miss my little tag because there's 2 3-tons and 1 6-ton, and like I said, I just shot a video real quick, and because like you said, they're doing their thing. You gotta like you just said early about COVID. You don't want to be responsible, like for someone's mother or grandmother, whatever. Mm-hmm. Same with Harbor Freight, man. And I have a small voice, so I'm definitely going to say, listen, I got to put a video out for that. I put a video out for everything else. I got to put a video out because I want people to be safe as well.
That's smart. And I got to tell you, Harbor Freight, if that's the only recall they ever have on any type of their heavy equipment, that's really kind of saying something about their stuff. I mean, people could talk smack about their stuff, but man, I've got some of their stuff. Our whole show is run, we run all of our lighting and all of our cameras down track on those little mini generators they have. Mm. And they're quiet and they run flawless. All the stuff we use out there and tools we use are all from Harbor Freight. Because number one, it's on the road, it gets left. You got multiple people using it. If it's gone, it's gone. We're not going to put Snap-on tools out on the road for 12 months. Yeah. I'm not giving up my tools. Sorry. But we went to Harbor Freight and stocked up the truck and let it go, and it's been flawless.
Well, I got tons of Harbor Freight stuff. I got tons of everything, but Harbor Freight, man. I mean, I even did a video. Don't hate the freight because I don't know why.
It's pretty good.
Their products are getting better too.
Yeah,
their products are getting better.
Guys, I didn't read the specificities of that recall. I don't have any of those jack stands. What is it exactly that's failing?
The pin. They have a pin. Some of them are pushed back, so it doesn't take much for it. Like how they have the little swing arm lift up and it comes down.
Yeah.
So the pin that holds that swing arm, that I guess that stops the what is that?
It locks the teeth in.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a major failure for sure. Yeah.
But not for nothing. It's like I even showed them my video. When I jack a car up, I mean, it's not just jacks. There's a tire under there. There may be 2 sets of jacks, and definitely the hydraulic jack is there, just in case. So, you gotta have take the element of danger out as much as you possibly can. And So I'm not sure what was going on with those jacks. I mean, they had a bad batch, and they went from 2013 to 2019. So there's a lot of those jacks out there.
$500,000. Yeah.
I would have to say that none of them have failed, or we probably would have heard about the massive lawsuits already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
So at least they caught it. Yeah.
I mean, the pushback would be immediate on something like that.
I learned my lesson with that from 1980. I'm dating myself here, probably 85 or 86. My brother was up in the garage. He had a big block Chevelle back in the day, a Pro Street kind of car. And we were going to do some car show or something. And we were out there, and he was working on the car. And he had remember the old ladder bar deals that bolted on to the old Chevelles?
Sure.
Yeah.
The ladder looking things, the yellow ones. So exactly. So he's up there, and he's working and doing detailing or something on the bottom side of this thing. And I said, hey, I'm going to bed. And I left him. It was probably about midnight. Well, he didn't have jack stands under the car. The jack went down and pinned his chest under the car for 3 hours to 4 hours.
Oh, my God.
I just went to sleep.
How did he get out?
He finally weaseled his way finally out. It didn't kind of he had the tires kind of on it. So when it came down, it kind of just stopped. So he was able to, after 3 hours, to talk about being. Yeah, so
that's like getting stuck on a weight bench, you know?
Yeah, and it was a 71 SS big block car with, you know what I mean, with ladder bar. That wasn't like you were picking up a Honda. He was under there for hours. To this day, he still reminds me of that shit. He goes, "You're down there sleeping, and I'm under here stuck."
Underneath the back of the front of the car. The back.
He was pinned by the ladder bar thing. He had the back jacked up. He slid on the side, and when he came down, the ladder bar kind of pinned him right there.
Wow.
They didn't hang that low. There wasn't the slapper bars. It was weird ladder bars that came up to the front and kind of bolted onto the.
They had like an I know exactly.
Yeah, little training things. Yeah, everybody, it was the 80s. That was the deal.
Look, if I have to get up, they're in the garage, but I have a set. If I got to go get them,
we know you got them, Ray.
I'll tell you a funny story. Back in you want to talk about dating yourself? I think it was probably 77. I had a set of ladder bar, NMW ladder bars. It might have painted orange. And I don't know if that's the color they wore or if that's the color I made them, but I had them hanging up on coat hangers in the basement on like a water pipe, a copper pipe of all things probably. And, and I sprayed them. And I had my buddies over, and I said, one kid, he just kept touching them, playing with them. I said, listen, dude, don't go playing with them, because if it falls, if like the hanger opens up and it falls, it's your leg or your foot, whatever the hell's under it. I mean, these things are heavy, it's a big chunk of steel, so don't be playing with it. And of course, he's playing with it again. I said, don't be playing with it. Next thing you know, ow! Broke his toe, broke his big toe like that. I said, I told you not to be playing with it.
Yep.
So,
many years. You got to be safe. I mean, 20-something years I had a speed shop installation center. We had cars on lifts. I've been on fire. I mean, guys welding 2 lifts down, dropping down. We got a tank hanging out. It's the fuel on the ground's on fire, and I'm standing in the middle trying to there's all kinds of hazards. The last thing you want to do is have something you depend on, like a jack stand you paid money for, that falls and kills you after all these years surviving that crazy crap,
Yep.
I don't know how I made it this far, believe you me.
Every time when you're in a rush, you're like, oh, I'm just going to do this real quick. And that's when you get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I as I'm getting older, I'm starting to slow myself down, because
that's right.
I'll say, well, I don't need a jack stand, or I don't need, you know what? I'll stop myself and do the extra minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not worth it, right?
Yeah. Like you said, man, back when I was younger, I'd slide under the car and, the stupid stuff.
This crap we did, between nitrous bottles and duffel bags and holding shit on your lap and torches on nitrous bottles and car backfires, burned all my damn hair off my head and my eyelids and everything like that. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Oh no, it's happened. I was at Pink's Nate and I went there 2 days earlier to test on his Camaro. He had an Outlaw Camaro, and we're out in the parking lot there at Thunder Valley. And he's like, man, it's just not running right. I said, you got a vacuum leak. So I started spraying around when the car's running with a little bit of carb cleaner in the back. Boof. He looked up. I looked up. I mean, it was singed. Everything was singed. This is all burnt off. Nose hairs, every damn thing. I was like, oh. He looked at me. I go, I think I found it. Good Lord.
You found the flame. Yeah.
I'm
I'm sorry, I would have laughed if I was there. I'd been like, "Yo, Brian, you all right?" Yeah.
It was terrible. God.
Did you find out what caused it?
It was a vacuum leak on the backside. It was actually pulling. It's weird. I sprayed too much on there. It was my fault for loading it with fuel, and then it just, I guess whatever's back there ignited it, man. But
You must have like an errant spark or something from the distributor.
I think that it was so hot, the manifold and stuff back there too as well. Using carb clean is not exactly the proper deal from there.
No, I mean that's what we all use. I mean, I just used brake clean the other day because we didn't have carburetor cleaner at the shop, so I did everything a brake cleaner. It's like any liquid, and I was explaining to my buddy at the shop. I said, he goes, "What are you doing that for?" I said, "Well, the idea is a leak. Your vacuum will be higher, your idle will be higher." I said, "But when this fluid gets sucked into that void, the idle's going to come down because it'll sealed for a second, and then as it sucks in, it'll go back up again." Yep. And of course, there wasn't a vacuum leak to be found, so I couldn't illustrate it. But whatever.
Well,
at least you use your outlet in your hair.
Yeah.
So Brian,
and that was a 71 Chevelle also, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my favorite year. Next to 69.
Brian, tell everybody we're live on YouTube. So tell everybody what you actually do in your production company, and give us a little insight.
Sure. Lately, all I do is drink a lot of Crown Royal and Diet Coke, but usually
Diet Coke.
Hey, look, I'm the only guy that went into this COVID stuff and lost 23 pounds. So that's just stress. Stress.
Sweet.
And the Diet Coke and the booze this time. But if you guys don't know, if anybody doesn't know, if you look behind me back there, that's Pink's All Out. I was on that show for many years. I worked up in the tower. I worked behind the scenes on Pink's. And then Rich and I did a bunch of stuff together called Arm Drop Racing. And then 2015, Rich got the rights back to Pink's All Out. And I produced multiple shows for that. And between network bull crap and the rest of the stuff in the world we live in these days, dealing with Fox, trying to get the original rights back, it just was a nightmare. So I decided in 2017 that we were going to take the two best shows on the old Speed Channel, which was Pastime and Pink's All Out, and create a live event / TV show that kind of morphed the two. And we added all kinds of twists to it from there. And so we're doing what we call it's on MAV TV, it's on Revin TV, and this week we started uploading to Amazon. It's called All Out Racing. It's basically the grassroots racers race just like we did in the old show. And we do 3 classes this time instead of the original picks. We had one big class. And then basically we would put one winner. We wanted to make it more fair. We broke it down 3 classes: Street, Muscle, Extreme, all ET broken down. And we would create 3 actual TV shows from each All Out Live event. If you go to alloutlive.com, you can see what I'm talking about from there. So I'm the host of the show now. I also own the production company for that. And we started producing and putting them out on the air about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We're going into season 3, and that's where we stopped. We had our first event, season 3 at South Carolina Motorplex, hit back in March, about 2 weeks before this hit. And at this particular time, we're on hold just like the rest of the world is from there. But if you guys want to see, you go to All Out Live and the Call Out on YouTube as well. You can see all of season 1, season 2. And we also, at the same event, we do another drag racing TV show. It's a grudge show called The Call Out, where basically the premise is, start the Smack Talk starts online with a call out, and then you could actually watch it go down live during our events. And then we just cover it all. We create a whole separate half-hour TV show that as well is on MAV TV, Revin TV, and we will upload those episodes as well to Amazon.
And some of those guys are characters, man. They have me crying, man. Some of those guys are funny when they smack.
Call-outs are great, yeah. And they get creative with their call-outs, which is awesome.
My God. George Rubistello, there's a new sheriff in town.
yeah, exactly. So that we tell them, be creative, have fun with it. The idea in our events, unlike, nothing against Street Outlaws, it's a great show, good stuff. But one difference between them and us is that I wanted to bring back, and we always did, and this was something that people never knew about on the backside. Rich Christensen was always a big person to push family friendly. You'll never see anybody like when we do our shows. I had up in the tower with me, I had speed girls. They wanted to, dress them all down with little tight tops, and he's like, no, family friendly. Never make our people that watch our shows, their wives or the racers, feel uncomfortable about something they're doing. The kids have to be able to come to the show. There's no cussing. It's a big family fun event, and that's where that's one thing that I wanted to continue on, and we do. We have party in the pits. We have a great time in late hours and stuff like that. It's classic at our events. But when they're at the show, even with this call-out grudge stuff, man, you start to run your mouth, you got problems, and you start disrespecting anybody or causing an issue where, one of the kids might get hurt or feel uncomfortable, you're out of there. We don't put up with it. So Street Outlaws could have their fighting, and it's great. Everybody wants to see a fight and all that crap. That's cool. We have good old-fashioned smack talk that we let the cars do it on the track and not fist fights. We're not going to do artificial. Right. All real. Everything we've ever done from day one is not staged. All the pinks all out, all the all-out lives and all the call-outs are not staged. There's no scripts. There's nothing. It's 100% shot completely live. And so it's none of this made-up crap like, that some of these other shows do. You'll never see it. It's not what we...
Well, it's funny you just said that because Lee asked the question, how real is it? And, stuff like that. Do you have to get permits? So, yeah, he was just asking that. But you answered it.
So we don't do we're not street. We don't do streets because the idea is that because of production costs, the idea is it's so expensive that we do shoot the 2 separate TV shows at one event. So they're always at a track under controlled environment where we could have the proper ambulance. And, once again, people have to feel comfortable about doing this. We can't do no prep because our event, our All Out Live event is a prepped event. So you can't unprep it. So it's a prepped event at our events. So if you come to All Out Live, you can see not only the All Out Racing TV show being filmed as well. You can watch all the grudge matchups from there. And as well on the show, which we call Instant Green, spectators pinch. Terry, you've seen the event. The spectators come down from the stands.
Yeah, that was fun.
And just like pastime, they get on the stage 2 podiums. And we simplified it even more that little kids could play this. You don't guess the ET or the time or mile per hour. You just pick left lane, or right lane. That's it. We allow you to see the burnout. You watch them run all day. Now you say, all right, here's your chance. You've seen the burnout. What lane do you want? Left or right? You choose left or right. And the one with the most after each round of the All Out Live, All Out Racing, the winner gets cash and prizes from there. Just so everybody, if you come to one of our live events, it's a very good chance that you could be on TV. There's no other, think about this real quick. What other drag racing events in the world can you go to that as a spectator, you have the ability to win cash and prizes and be on TV? None.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that do it.
Hey, Lewis, he almost had me out on the track.
Oh, yeah.
But Phil was like, no, get in your car and go down because that's when I first got the ZL1. And I was just like, I promise. The only reason I didn't do it, he said, we got helmets, you get a helmet. I promise I'm not going to track.
What we got to do is get you guys on the Instant Green game show to see how good you are picking left and right lane. Our host is actually Gavin Jerome. Gavin Jerome was actually one of the guys on Original Pinks. He was on Original Pinks as the announcer, and he was on as well he's been there since the first actual Pinks till today. Every single show he's been on. So he's with us as well with this, but he's now the game show host. He's funny.
Oh no, he's a trip.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Yeah, look, I'm really excited to see it come. See you get back into the groove.
Yeah.
Now with the shutdown of everything, have you thought about maybe doing something remote from different tracks at the same time?
Well, it's the only problem that I have from there is that we have a full-on live stream production trailer that comes out there that we do it different than everybody else. Some of these guys come out here and just do these, like even Speed Video, they do a nice job what they're doing, but we go out there and we actually treat the actual event. So what we do is we go out there, we live stream every event, number one. We do it in 4K. No one else does that. We actually output in 4K, we record in 4K, and we do all the live show in 4K, which nobody else does live. We run fiber optic like everybody else. but we have a crew that literally treats it as if it's a live broadcast event. If you're watching an NFL football game or something like that, so we have a person that sits in the trailer. Has been doing it for 25 years, and he switches from camera to camera to camera, and you can watch the show happen live. And then we take that back and we trim it down. We add in a couple of shots. We hold back a bunch of stuff, so we have it for TV, like the interviews and the car packages and stuff like that, to do our TV show. But you can tune in live and watch that. To be able to do multiple events, we don't have enough trailers to do that, to pull it together. But the problem has always been is quality of stream. Really getting it locked in and really doing. You know what? The only thing that ever pisses me off about watching some of these live stream stuff on these drag racing events is you turn on the cameras, they follow back and forth, you see a bunch of dead air, and you wait there for 5 hours for cars to go down. When we say we're going to do a hard start, let's say we're starting at not when it gets dark at 9 o'clock. We do our very best possible. When we start the show, the only downtime you will ever see something not happening is if we have an oil down. That's something that takes place that takes a certain amount of time. At that particular time, we go back and we'll actually entertain between doing interviews and play commercials, and we'll play even old episodes and clips to keep people entertained. Dead downtime of a track going on is the death nail for any live broadcast or anything. Nobody wants to watch nothing going on, and that's the one thing we do. My partner Alex has been doing live broadcasting television for almost 30 years. He treats us as if he's walking into a studio for a newsroom and treats everything like that. We got a hard start. He gets called. We go back, click, click, click. You watch. It's very tight,
Nice.
It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to be there. I love doing it because, number one, people that come out to our shows, the main thing, number one, we put in the rules. Bottom rule says, if you're not here to have a good time, stay home. Everybody's there to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's just fun. If you want to come to a fun event, you want to have a great time, you want to join in on the fun, you come to our shows. If you want to fist fight and do grudge racing, do what you want. That's up to you. That's not what we're here for.
Right.
And they be cooking in the back. These boys be having some barbecue back there.
We do barbecue cook-off contests with prizes and trophies and bands and we had karaoke in Houston. We had all kinds of nutty crap going on. We call it the all-out party in the pits. People just come. Number one, Pigs All Out was there with thousands of people and hundreds of racers. And if you speak to, I would say 99% of the people there, the drag racing side of it was really just there. Where they really was attractive about Pigs All Out was the camaraderie, friendships, and fun they had during the show in the pits and at night. I went to every one. I know, I've been there. It gets crazy. It's so much fun, and that's what we're trying to get back to. We just need to get people to know that it's back, and that's been our biggest problem, is getting the word to spread, and from there, we tried to get on Discovery, we tried to get on Motor Trend. They don't want any more drag racing shows. We've gone through their process of uploading. We've gone through all their portals. We've actually spoke to them there. I have connections in, and they want build shows. And with Street Outlaws going on, they've got enough drag racing shows. So we've got to work with Amazon, and we're going to try to do Netflix. We're going to stick to Mav. We'll do Revin. But that's where we stand right now. If we were able to get on maybe Discovery or Motor Trend, the word would go out faster, and that's been our biggest problem.
That's one of the problems I have with TV today. You get a new show. It could have been American Chopper. It could be, American Hot Rod. You name it. A new show comes in, a new format, sets the world on fire. Everybody loves it. We all watch it. Then the next season, there's another one and another one. And now there's 4 or 5 of them on there, and everybody's just copying the original. And they do it with car shows, with cooking shows, with anything that people watch. And I often wonder, how could they be so blatantly uncreative that they have to just copy? I mean, I get it, it's a sincere form of flattery and all, but after a while, you got 4 or 5 shows doing the same thing. I know myself, that kind of draws me away from it, or I'll stick with the original if I liked it.
I'll tell you right now, Pinks and Pinks All Out laid the groundwork for all those shows. There was nothing on. There was never a drag racing TV show ever, other than good old fashioned Andy Charret broadcasted their regular events, which was really just an event coverage. There was never any type of reality TV until Rich Christensen actually invented the whole TV side of it with Pinks. And to me personally, you can watch any show you want today. You could replay those Pink shows, and they would hold their own in any arena right now. And one of the things we're talking about doing is, Shannon Poole and I were talking about doing a new version of that as well at one of our events, which we're going to do possibly in October at the Cruising the Coast. We're doing a big show over there at Gulfport Dragway, was to do a new version of Pinks. We can't call it Pinks because it's still owned by the rights by, whatever from Fox, but we'll name it something else. But lose the race, lose your ride. I was there. I was on the show twice. I raced for Pink Slips twice. And then I worked behind the scenes with the show for many seasons. And when somebody loses their car, it's not like street racing where you lose a couple bucks. When you take someone's car, the raw emotions involved in that as well, dude, you can't get any better TV than that. That's reality. The tears in their eyes, man, that wasn't somebody sprinkling, drops on there. People, man, they'll do crazy shit not to lose their car, I'd do it again tomorrow. I'd race for titles tomorrow again. That was one of the greatest shows I think ever when it comes to any type of automotive based TV show on television.
Now, what is Rich doing now? Is he?
I talk to Rich on a regular basis. Actually, I talked to Rich about 3 days ago. Rich is into health and fitness. His ex-wife was an Olympic athlete, runner. He's been into sports and health and fitness since forever. So he actually created. It's called. Oh God, what the hell? God, I'm getting old crap here now. Hell, I shot the pilot. What the hell's the name of it, honey? Help! Foot speed. Dang, God.
Foot speed.
If you go to www. Put it over here. www.footspeed.tv. Pretty cool. So his goal was to find the fastest human alive. And what he did was he created this show. It started off as that and then got morphed around a little bit. So what he does is he takes runners from all over the world. He created a speed trap with proprietary little, I think it's I forgot how long it is from start to finish. Basically it times you. So you can start anywhere you want. When you come through the speed trap, basically it times you from the time you come in and converts it to mile per hour. So he created that game show kind of deal. And what we did was we went to Charlotte Motor Speedway. I got the actual during the wintertime in November. We did it about a year ago. We went to Charlotte Motor Speedway, went into the garages, stripped the whole place out. We actually went Mondo brought an Olympic running service in. We set this up, and then we had Olympic athletes come out from all over the world and some non-professional athletes, and we held this foot speed contest, and we shot this pilot, which you'll see at footspeed.tv, and it's pretty awesome. We gave away what it is cash for speed. So the guy that won that particular event, it's a live event / deal, went 21.2 miles per hour. So we handed him $21,200 that night.
Wow. So
it's kind of cool. It's on all the gray network televisions. So right now they're running it as a pilot kind of deal. And we did some stuff in Orlando, in a convention. We shot that as well. It's moving pretty good. So that's what he's doing. He's trying to find from car speed to foot speed.
That's pretty slick. I'm on the site now. Yeah.
Carl Lewis was at the last one. It was pretty neat, man. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I met Rich. Oh man, it's probably been 10 years ago, maybe. SEMA.
Yep,
maybe longer. Yep, good guy. Really nice guy.
Yeah, a lot of people have negative, a lot of people have positive. If you get to know him, he's really not a bad guy. He had on the show, you got to remember, there's always got to be something to create some sort of drama. When you're doing a show, when you're handing $10,000 away and you've gone from 5,000 people to trying to get 500 spots, from 500 spots down to the final 16, you win or lose, you're happy. There's no drama involved. And speed pushed him heavily to create some sort of drama because there's no drama when people are happy.
Yeah.
Be a little bit of a, you know, he had to make some rules as he went along and had to push some buttons, and it made good TV. And he was the bad guy. There's always going to be a good guy. There's always going to be a bad guy. So
Who's that?
He had to do to keep it going and keep people interested and keep that show alive. And he did a good job of it. I've known him now since 2004. He's a nice guy.
Who are we talking about?
Rich Christensen.
Rich Christensen. Yeah. He's a guy you love to hate.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Man, I remember when he was going to take a motorcycle down the track.
Yeah,
Somebody wrecked.
I remember.
Man, I couldn't believe how he went down.
He dislocated his shoulder and broke 3 ribs on that.
Really?
Night. Oh yeah, he messed up. So he finished the show, but they had to fix
he
him.
walked off.
Oh yeah, he busted himself up pretty damn good that night.
Wow.
Well, he drove motorcycles, but he's used to like little cafe racer kind of deals, or those little ones. And Kale, his cousin, who's a very good friend of mine, used to, he's got like 30 bikes. He's a street bike. He rides he lives in Vail in the mountains. And he said to Rich right before he got on, he goes, "This is not your bike." And he's like, "What?" And he had no idea what the GSXR or whatever he was riding that night could do until he found out real fast.
Yeah. Man.
I think it was a booster that got him.
Yeah, I don't know. It commanded respect that he did not give it.
It turned him up real quick.
Oh, it tore him up bad. There was a lot of stuff. I could tell you stories for hours behind the scenes of Pinks and Pinks All Out. It was such a great crew, and all the people that were on the show were there pretty much from day one. And man, our crew was just killer, man. And we had, the pranks and the fun and the different things we did. You remember we would do 13 events, and we'd be on the road together for weeks at a time. And, the camaraderie that was on the show and the people we dealt with, I mean, they were just class act and just fun. When that ended, man, that was upsetting for everybody, Yeah. We ended in California, I think was our last one we ever did. We had a big party. And it was sad because those, after that many years of working together on the show, it was sad. I get to work with them still, some of them still, but everybody's gone their separate ways, and I still stay in touch with them. But to this day, they're top-notch people that we dealt with. Made some great TV.
Yeah,
great TV with great people.
It was a good show.
Wow. I don't care. I still felt bad for the guy when he went down. I mean,
yeah.
I was like, that Richard Christensen, I hate him. Oh man, he went down.
You know what? I never got that feeling about him. I always, I guess I'm a type of guy that likes everybody. I never not liked him. You know what I mean? But then I met him at SEMA, and I was like, all right, this dude's pretty cool. Yeah.
That was actually, and when it came back, the YouTube wasn't a big thing back then, and it just started out. But when it came to videos, that was out of all the Pinks and Pinks All Out shows that were actually on YouTube, the highest number of views was him wrecking the bike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Still to this day. People love to see people wreck, man.
Man.
Everybody loves mayhem, death, and crashes and fire. It just happened to be that day is.
And I catch myself.
That all-out burnout thing we do when they blow tires up and shred shit and do burnouts. The last one I put up there, the guy was doing a burnout in his living room. I mean, come on, these people are insane. I mean, they're just like, come on. The guy put a video up. It was on, they call it Lockdown Skids from Australia. And he says, 500 likes and I'll do a burnout in my living room. He hit about 5,000 within 2 minutes. He held this hard enough. Less than an hour later, he's sitting up there. He pulls up, and there's the bike sitting in the middle there. He went through like 5 gears for like 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Well, I didn't do a burnout, but I started my Harley in my den.
Oh. Do a burnout, send it in. We need it.
Yeah.
Content is king.
You think the drum set sounds loud in the room?
Content is king.
Yeah.
My car club had a contest with another car club, and it was who had the best burnout, and they shared it on YouTube. But one of our car club guys put his car on a trailer.
Yes.
And the guy was
awesome.
The guy was burning out in the truck, pulling his car while he was burning out on the trailer.
We did our all-out burnout live, which you do every Sunday at 7:00. And one of the ones that we did Ryan Hall did a burnout in Texas live, and we had a couple more slated to do, but it's always a weather issue with this live stuff. So I pulled some video, and one of them was from a guy in Australia cruising down the highway on a trailer. Guy next to him, and next thing you know, he's just doing about 70 on the trailer. He pulled, and this thing, he ain't messing around. It's like 8,000 RPMs and just roasted this thing on the trailer. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome.
Those Australians, man, they don't mess around.
No.
You know who else doesn't? The people over in Dubai. Have you seen those guys doing those drift things?
They're nuts.
Man, they're about running each other over.
Well, that's what happens when you have more money than brains.
Yeah, that's about it.
The brains part is the problem.
God, just get another one the next day.
No brains.
I'd just be afraid on that trailer that the thing somehow, somewhere, some why would hook. You know?
That's all it takes.
Gone, man.
Don't take
I
much.
tell you, gentlemen, Shannon Poole and I are going to do something stupid like that. We've discussed it. We said last time. He wanted to, when we did the show last time, he says, so what we wanted to do is, he goes, I want to pull you on a pair of skis while I'm doing your burnout.
Oh, geez.
Somehow I said, I'd do it.
Okay.
So
You're going to be a YouTube guy.
Right? Look at this asshole. But hey, Terry,
I'll join you on a snowboard. I'm a snowboard. I'll join you on a snowboard.
this is meet you there. Right? Content is king, Terry. We're content whores, I guess,
Wow.
But I'm gonna be wrapped in bubble wrap with a helmet and everything else because my old brittle ass bones will fall apart,
Oh my goodness, it'll be horrible. 20 million views.
Oh yeah, like that. Brian's dead. 1 million views. Watch the host of All Out Live die. Doing something completely retarded and stupid.
If I die, make sure my family's taken care of.
Yeah, right? We used to do when we were kids. I was telling him, we used to hang off you're a New York guy down there, right? Mm-hmm. We used to hang off the back bumpers of the car in the snow. I'm in Long Island. We cruise around every street known in Long Island on the back bumper of a old Chevelle or Camaro.
We did a city bus.
Yeah.
I've told the story. I have a good friend now for many, many years, but I lived on a block with a hill. And when you were a kid, it was a hill because, it was great for go-karting and bicycling because, and now it was just it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like Nyack or anything, but this buddy came up the block one day and knocks on the door in the winter and says, listen, can you help me out? I know you work on cars. My buddy, we're trying to put a transmission back in his Mustang. A Mach 1 with a 429 in it, of all things, right?
Wow.
They're trying to put the 4-speed back in, and they couldn't, they got like 2 inches away from the bell house, and they couldn't get it in. They're stuck. Will I help? Yeah, all right. Let me grab my coat. Go outside. And it was like the winter of 70, probably 77 again that year. That was very cold, or 78 maybe. Everything was snowed, frosted, iced over. It had snowed a few days before. We had massive snowstorms. And we had somebody there with a car. So what do? We grab the back bumper and say, go. And we skitch all the way down the block, made the turn. And, as the car got close, we let go and just kind of glided up to the car, And of course, that was to finish the graphic, there was that Mustang on jack stands in the driveway outside with probably a piece of cardboard or old carpet on the snow and ice, and then you got to get under there and work on it. But yeah, we sketched down the block. There was an art form. There was definitely an art form to sketching.
Yeah, in New York, sketching, people knew what it was. If you go to Pennsylvania, it was different. You go to Massachusetts, they call it bumper. I forgot what they call it, bumper something, ski. Okay. And there's all different names for it. But I can tell you're a New York guy because as soon as I said sketching, you know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. And have a story about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Billy Wallace was the one buddy everybody had that ended up either in the hospital, stitches, broken bones. He would
always that one guy.
He would do the BMX bicycle from the landing ramp over through the fire and then land on and crash and break. He broke up his whole arm one night. We would do BB guns. We used to do BB gun wars from like rooftop to rooftop, and he's the one that got in the eye. He's always, so he's hanging on the back bumper of the Camaro and comes around the corner, and he's like goes about 600 miles an hour and slams into a parked car. So Billy Wallace, if you're still alive, man, I love you. You were great entertainment when I was growing up.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah. He would be a YouTube superstar these days.
Yeah.
Wow.
My
True
grandma
TV.
had a 77 Mercury Marquis, and
He's
we
a
piled
fucking
on the back
jackass.
trunk of it. My brother was driving it, and the one person to fall off it at like 60 miles an hour in the snow, Billy Wallace.
Yeah.
There he goes into a big snowmound.
It's always the one.
You gotta love him.
Oh man, the first jackass.
Yes, Billy Wallace. Well,
Yeah,
gentlemen, I've got to get rolling here this evening. I've got an actual meeting, which is crazy to say at 9:57 at night. One of my partners works on a whole different time zone, and we got a bunch of discussions to go. I appreciate you guys, Lewis, and you guys having me on. Terry, always like seeing your crazy ass. And
Get together, man.
Hey,
but
we appreciate you
coming.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Anytime you want to come on, if you have something new to show or talk about, let me know. We can get you in.
And keep your eye out on our website, allalive.com. Our schedule has changed. We were going to talk about it, never did, but our schedule is fluent and changing. Most likely, everything's going to start at the end of August all the way through November, and we're going to go to hopefully the pier up there. We'll be back in Ohio, probably either Edgewater or Killcare, and then we're going to go to possibly Mississippi with Jamie Otson, the Memphis 10 guys, to Byhalia. He's got a track he's working with that we're talking to right now. And then we're going to be Gulfport Dragway in October for cruising the coast. And then we're talking with another track there's a big cruise. It's an Emerald Coast Cruising. And Powerhouse Drag Strip might be the one we end with right after SEMA in November. So thanks again, everybody. If you want to come out and have some fun, go to alloutlive.com. Come to one of our events. All you guys are invited. We'll put you up on stage. We'll get you in the car. We'll have some good time. Go to All Out Live. Come to the events and just have fun. That's it. Have fun.
Appreciate it.
There we
All
go.
right, guys.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Brian. And
Right.
we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Okay, good
All
night.
right, take it easy.
So, Lewis, I got a chance to listen to your Cars Yeah interview.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
what'd you think?
Very good. Very good. Nice. I had no idea who the author was that you cited, and I was hoping to ask you about it, and so you could tell me a little more about this guy because he sounded like an influential writer.
Which
I didn't write the name down. Towards the end, he asked you about a book, if there was any books you had read that recently.
Oh, Gary V.
Right.
Gary
Okay.
Vandercheck.
Right.
Yep, Gary V.
Wait a second. Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lewis. Go ahead.
He's a internet guru. He does all the Fortune 500 companies. He does their promotions on all the social media stuff. Have you ever heard of him, Terry?
I have.
Yeah, Gary V. He's in
I'm not
New York. Yeah, New York guy.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Let me, you know what? Wait a second, Ray. You didn't hear my interview on Cars yet?
No, I haven't, and I got to go back. Well,
Uh-oh.
likely so. I didn't know. I found out about yours when I listened to Lewis's because he said
I'm 1531, I think.
yeah.
I'm 1551.
Well, now I'm going to go back, and it was good because I finally got around to having some time where I had to do some stuff at the computer, and I said, "Good, let me fire this up in the background and let it play," and now I'll get to yours next.
Thank you
I
very
tell
much.
you, Mark has a
question by next week.
Mark has a nice setup, man. He's really on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he had asked me to do an interview with him, and and he sent me his form, and I'm, what it is, the only thing that I'm a total ad lib, off the cuff kind of guy. I don't like having a format. I don't like having to answer a question. You know what I'm saying? Like to come up with that witty answer.
Here's what you do. You don't read that, and you just go on the show like I did.
I already read it.
So I got on the show, and he asked me the question, so I'd lean back for a second, and I come full force. Bam!
Well, that's good because I'll tell you something. You answered the questions, like even when he asked you what car you would want to be. Man, you had the answer. 32 Vicky. You had that right off the bat.
Yeah,
that was immediate. So I figured you had planned that one at least. But
what I was thinking is I wanted to be what do you call it? Genuine.
Yeah.
Spontaneous and genuine. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, whatever you ask me, I'm gonna fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he got, and by the way, everyone in the room, here we go. Hold on a sec. Cars, yeah. There you go. There you go, Terry, right there.
What is it? 1530?
1530.
1530. Okay.
I'm 1551.
Yeah.
1530. So if you have free time, learn about Coverman 66 and how he started driving those muscle cars in the streets of South Carolina, the back roads of South Carolina, back when I was 10 years old.
What part of South Carolina was it, Terry?
King Street, very extremely rural.
Okay.
Very rural, and like I said,
was that Gullah territory?
No, not at all.
Okay.
See, there you go. 55 miles from me. He knows exactly where it is. Vince, tell him how rural it is. Well, that was back in the day. Now, my uncle was a big car. I mean, this guy, when I say he had cars that you see up on SEMA. At Barrett Jackson going for $200,000 cars. I mean, he had like 455 Chevelles, GTO Stage 1, Buick Skylark GSs. He was an A-body guy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm 10 years old wrenching with this guy from, like when I'm in the, summers you have off. My parents, me and my sister down south to, get real with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting up there with my uncle, wrenching with him. That's where I learned most of my stuff. And he's like, well, go get some lunches. And I'm like, I'm not going to take a bike in hot sun, South Carolina. He goes, no, grab one of the cars, any car you want.
Whoa.
That was it. So 10 years old, I'm sitting up there shifting this 454. I'm sorry, this Buick Skylark. What's it called? 455. Stage 1. And I had a choice of he had like 12 cars. Any car I wanted. So that's where I got my teeth chopped on, man. Right there, man.
Yeah.
And he was a big block guy, so me and him would be having some arguments right now if he was alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been having some arguments, but I miss him, man. I miss him so. Well, that was fun. Yeah.
Okay, I invited John in. See if he wants to.
Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking, I got my little son up there. I got to put him to bed. What's up, Chassis John? What's happening?
What are you doing, bro?
John in the garage.
What are you doing?
Hanging in the garage.
I hear you. I wish I could stay with you, but I got to put my little son to bed. He's asking for daddy. I heard him.
Getting late, 10 o'clock. Yeah.
I gotta cut.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta cut out too. But if anybody wants to hear my interview on cars, check it out.
It's a really good interview.
I'm 1551, I think. But hey, Mark put together a nice podcast, man. Everybody needs to go check it out.
Right.
Yep. And after you listen to Lewis Lee, if you just want more car, cruise on over to 1530 and
1530.
Well, motion.
Then you guys have been watching Jamal videos?
No, I forgot.
That dude's hilarious.
I'm probably about 15 or 20 of them in, and I tell you something, the guy knows nothing about the rock music we grew up with, but he knows the music. You watch him moving with the music. He's a percussion guy. I can tell. He loves percussion stuff. And he's a funny guy. He's funny. Then I watched one. There was some girl. It just happened to show up in the feed because it was similar. They had this girl who's a classic trained flautist who reacted to Jethro Tull to Aqualung. And she's calling him Jethro. So she doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Cool.
Yeah, check it out.
I guess she's from Sweden.
Oh, you saw her? You saw her?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay, you saw it? Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was a hell of a concert.
It was. Yeah, it was like 74 somewhere or something, right?
76.
6? Okay.
Yeah, 4 or 6.
Long.
Yeah.
It was in Tampa. And it was about a 15-minute flute solo.
It was. Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
In rock.
The thing I was wondering is, like, she was watching that clip, but unless you see the body of work that's around it, you don't realize what
she
he was
had.
She
has other episodes with Jethro Tull.
All right.
Yeah.
I got to check that.
But that one, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was a concert that I wish I was at. It was awesome.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. I'll catch you next week, and I got a couple people lined up. So if we connect, we'll have another guest on next week.
Tell you what, I'll be hanging out first, and you can put someone else in, Louis Lee. All right.
All right, sounds good, Terry. Appreciate
All right,
you.
Lou.
Oh, everyone in the room.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, wow.
I hit
Not
the
me.
button on him. Oops. Sorry, Terry. Anybody want to jump in? Carl Anthony's in the house.
Oh, Carl, yeah. What's Carl up to? He's got to be into something good.
I invite him. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm gonna jump off, but like I said, I got a couple guys maybe I can line up for next week.
All right, very
So
good.
we should be good.
Cool.
All right, you guys stay safe this week.
Yes, sir.
Wash your hands.
Always.
The
Oh.
dirt is
Hey,
good
Carl.
for you.
Yeah,
How's it
hey,
going, Carl?
Louis. Hey,
What's
good
going
to
on?
see you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing good. I know I'm catching you on the way out, so hello and goodbye, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, I'll give you those.
Yeah, that works, man.
All right,
Chastity
guys.
John, Ray, good to see you fellas again.
How you doing, Carl?
Yeah, doing good, man. Hanging in there, just up late working tonight, and I thought, well, I'll tune into the show and just see what's going on and see what trouble you guys are causing. So,
What
It
the
was
hell
good.
going on in Michigan, man, with the dams and the
Oh my God, the flooding.
yeah.
yeah,
Woo!
it just like it drained the whole lake up there too. Like
Wow.
They
it's
said that's like one of those 500-year floods.
Yeah.
So
They
I
were
guess
talking
you
about-
just can't prepare for something like that.
no.
You know, and I was reading the paper in the Daily News. They had a report, and they were saying the one dam was built in like 26, and the other one was in 27.
Yeah.
So that's like the infrastructure up here. I mean, that stuff is ancient.
Yeah.
You know? So
Right.
you know,
Yeah, it's I I've a friend of mine. His parents live up there, and they've all been evacuated up near Midland.
right.
So it's a nice it's a really nice area up there, like north of the city. But yeah, it's just after getting hit with coronavirus and then getting hit with this, it's a lot.
And it's
Just all at one time.
it's Dow Corning that's there on the lake,
Yes.
right? And they said
Correct.
the problem that what they're trying to do is to conserve and protect the chemicals that they have. Because I said already,
Right.
fresh water is washing into, I guess, wastewater or whatever. So there's already that intrusion, which is a sanitary nightmare. And now
Right.
if Dow loses any chemicals, holy crap, just
Yeah,
intensify to hell.
for sure. Right.
Ray,
it's-
I thought I was the only one who needed a haircut.
No, John does too. We're all good. The
I'm,
rest of
I'm
us are okay.
growing my mullet back.
Yeah, me too. I know.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've took my truck to Vass, North Carolina Monday, and 3/4 of the way back, the damn front cover started leaking.
Oh God.
What kind of
So
truck?
it's got
was that?
oil. It's got oil from the front cover to the mud flaps.
Yikes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's about a $3,000 to $5,000 repair. First trip
Mhm.
back.
That
Wow.
sucks.
Say again?
What kind of truck do you have, Vince?
Oh yeah, that's after 3,000 for an oil cooler and a couple broken studs in the head.
That's the Volvo.
Volvo.
No, the Volvo I sold.
Oh,
Boy in Charlotte came and got it. That's my Eagle, my international, my
Okay.
what is it they call it, the binder, corn binder, my Eagle, my 9400i Eagle.
Mhm.
Start talking about truck
So-
nicknames, and I'm admittedly lost. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
Farmall, international Farmall and all that stuff. So they
I know
always
that
call it
one.
the internationals, corn binders and K-whoppers and freight shakers and
Dolly
Really?
Wampers.
well, trust me, if you ever drove a Freightliner, you know why they call them freight shakers. I had one that had 18,000 miles on it, and every cabinet in that thing shook like it had 1,000,000 miles on it.
Oh gosh.
My truck's got 750,000 on it, and it's quiet as a church riding down the road.
Mhm.
What about Volvos?
Volvos ride nice. I had a VNL 660 What they do is on their suspension system for the cabs, they have 4 shocks and 2 airbags. So they have a real nice cab ride.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
When
Vince,
I win the lottery, I'm buying a Volvo and a 53 footer that holds like 3 cars and
right.
travel around the country
let me
drag
know.
racing.
Vince, you ever drive a
Well, that's
international
like
trucks?
that's like my buddy in Savannah. He goes, if I win the lottery, he goes, you got a job toting race cars around. I said, okay, that's fine.
There you go.
Yeah, I got this fancy grill working on that Volvo. Changing a brake chamber on that thing. 15/16 wrench. The guy that was helping me, I was crawling under the truck to get it to change the backing plate on the brake chamber, and he whacked the sucker with a hammer. And when he did, it hit it and it shot off of the brake chamber. And I had about enough time to duck and lean back, and it caught me right across the mountain.
God.
Open.
That had hurt.
Did that there.
Really?
Wow.
Well, like I said, 15/16 wrench with a hammer.
Right.
That's sick.
Yeah. So,
Vince, have you ever driven an international truck before? What are your thoughts on those? The international rigs.
which one? Oh, well, that's what I've got now.
That's what we got now.
I've got 9400 eyes.
Okay.
But yeah, I've driven professionally for 15 years. I'm a 3rd generation owner operator.
Okay. Okay.
So I've driven Volvos, I've driven Freightliners, I've driven internationals, of course, even a couple Western Stars here and there. I mean, they all have their ups and downs, pluses and minuses. The Volvos ride really nice. Actually, I've driven Peterbilts too. I was never really impressed with the Peterbilts that I drove. Some people think they're the greatest thing in the world, and I'm like, well, whatever. It's a truck.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Peterbilts and Kenworths. You got that school.
Well, John,
it's
the
like
thing
a Ford
is,
versus Chevy deal.
exactly. PACCAR owns both companies.
Really?
So, it's just like, Ford and Mercury. It's the same company with 2 divisions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the old cab over Pete with a reefer on and the Jimmy Hall and Hogs.
Yeah.
It was the dark of the moon on the 6th of June.
Right.
And actually, I always post that on Facebook on the 6th of June, and because I've got a lot of my buddies that, you just post that line on on Facebook there, and I got a couple guys that they go line by line and just start filling the song in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it personally. I like the cab overs, but they're a dying breed. They don't. I mean, any cab overs, believe it or not, that they still make. Kenworth still makes a cab over. Freightliner still makes a cab over, but all of that stuff here, because Freightliner has a plant in upstate South Carolina,
right?
Freightliner Custom Chassis, they send everything to overseas. They still build a cab over, and it goes to Europe. And because they've still got the smaller roads, and you need something that cuts and turns a lot sharper. Well, a cab over lengths on those are 153-inch wheelbase.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with a setback front axle on a 153-inch wheelbase, you can sit there and do donuts with the thing if you know how to drive it.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
And that's and you've got that was the whole reason that they went to a cab over in the industry was back in the 70s when they were federally regulated. They had a law on overall length. So shorter truck, longer trailer. Where now it's trailer length. You can have a 350-inch tractor, but still run a 53-inch trailer.
Right.
Texas and California, you can run 57s.
Wow. Remember all those old Ford cab overs where the front wheels were like under the seat?
What was that, John?
Remember those old Fords where the front wheels were like underneath the seat? And like when you went to make a turn, you were like ahead of the front tires. It was a very weird feeling, like the first time you drive something like that.
It's like driving an old Econoline van.
It was those old Ford that had the 2 round headlights and that white grill.
Yeah.
That white steel grill. There was
Really
a boatload of them in like the 70s.
It's on every
believe it or
TV
not,
show in the 70s. Yeah, you see them all over the place.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, John, every time I ever drove, they call that because see, Freightliner had that too. It was a 9670 Freightliner was a cab over, and they called it a cab forward.
Yeah.
On the cab forward, you sat in front of the axle.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd open the door on a 9670 and look down. You were in front of the axle, and the wheel was at your butt, basically.
Yeah, the door came down like this, and then it went like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
opened up over the wheel well.
So
I remember that.
it only took 50 years for Chrysler to borrow that term for their car designs.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with that is they always reminded me of driving a Volkswagen Transporter, because it was that same feeling in a Transporter. When you open a door, you look down, and you're same thing. You're sitting in front of the axle.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess that's why I love the Transporters.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing with I did change what I'm doing. I took the truck back to the fella in Texas, and so I'm not running expedited freight anymore. I'm back to running intermodal with my truck. So that does mean that I will be able to get to the dentist here in town and start the year-long process of getting this fixed.
Right.
Because she told me, she goes, it's going to be a year. She says they're going to have to pull that out and do the implants and then all that and everything. And I'm like, I've got stuff set up, and then COVID happened.
Yep.
And they're not seeing anybody right now. So
have you been affected with the trucking, Vince? Have you been affected with COVID-19? How's that affected trucking?
As my brother would say, does a fat baby fart?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen rates on the boards going for as low as 74 cents a mile.
Wow.
And you can, even with cheap fuel, you're barely paying for fuel. There was right before I left Landstar, they called me on a load that was Dallas, Texas to, where is it, New Orleans or Atlanta? And it basically paid like $300. And I'm like, no, not happening.
John spends more than that for lunch in a couple of days.
So, I mean, that's pretty much why
with those desserts you get brought into you, buddy. I know. How was that dessert on Sunday?
It was delish.
I bet it was. I was.
It was awesome.
That's why when I was in Philadelphia and ended up over in Jersey for the weekend, because there's no truck stops where I was at, and then I went over to Pittsburgh and sat there all week. Now this is like a month ago. I sat in Pittsburgh, sat there for a week with, I got this load. Well, let me figure it out. Okay, well, that barely pays for fuel. It's not worth me driving 300 miles to run 600 to make $1 a mile.
Right.
It doesn't pay. So after a week of that, I can make as much money as I'm making right now sitting at home rather than sitting in a truck stop. So I spent the $400 and I drove home.
Yeah.
And then I had a talk with the guy who owned the truck I was driving for him. And he goes, I understand. I said, I can make $2,700 going from here to Memphis and back versus, what they were paying for the expedited freight. Now, don't get me wrong. When things get back and rolling, the expedited freight and all that stuff will be just, rocking and rolling, all these auto manufacturers and everybody that's, I need it tomorrow there. And okay, you gonna pay for it.
Right. My father-in-law is in trucking, and so my wife and I have. I mean, he's been affected. So obviously the automakers, like he'll haul for Brembo. So his business is over in Litchfield, Michigan, small town like 2 hours from here, but that's not far from Plymouth, Michigan, which is where Brembo has huge factory and operations. So he will haul Brembo pads and rotors down to Alabama quite frequently, but they haven't done really any automotive hauling. There's an acreage nearby, and they do a lot of flowers and they do a lot of trees for landscaping. So he's at least able to haul that stuff. They're at least able to do that. So, but it's kind of been, it's been hard going for him, you know, and he's like you, he's been in it his whole life. His parents were in it, grandparents were in it. So, but he said this is as tough as it's been in a while.
Yeah, I mean, everybody I know that's done this for any length of time, they all say the same thing, that we have never seen it just this crazy and this just upside down backwards.
Right. Right.
So
it's because everybody's worried about this virus.
Right.
Well,
and you got all these individual governments all putting their thumb on you, telling you what you can and can't do. And then you've got the media feeding you bullshit every single day. It's ridiculous. And I've watched it John, like because now you watch commercials from every single company, and that's all they talk about. How we sanitize, how we don't touch, how we do this, how we do. It's like, really? Just get over yourselves. Go back to work.
A couple days. I know that we've hit the bottom of the apex of marketing, because I saw an ad for a mask with copper technology. You know, like they got they got the armbands and the knee bands with copper technology. You know, but now they're making masks with copper thread woven into the. Like, explain to me how this is like.
Right.
It's all bullshit.
All marketing.
And the masks don't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, we had an eye opener. My younger daughter, she's home and she's in college, so she's been pretty much sequestered. She hasn't left the house in like 2 months. I mean, once or twice, and that was it. She's just been, you know, working on her a lot of design stuff. So she's doing a lot of computer work, and she's finally done now. So today, for the first day, she went with my wife into Queens to my mother-in-law's house. And they had to stop at a store or two, and she came home and she's like, "Oh, I hate wearing this mask. I'm feeling claustrophobic. I'm not." She's looking at me like, "What are you?" I'm like, "I'm with you. I hate it too. Like, I can't stand it." Like,
it lowers your body's pH too.
So you know, I'm conscious of that, where I'm breathing into this mask. I'm catching myself like not breathing, you know, because I don't want to have to breathe in the same air that I'm breathing out.
I posted a video on Facebook from an RN, and she put it in real clear terms for anybody that watches. Somebody's hyperventilating. They got a problem. What do? They make them breathe in and out of a paper bag. Puts carbon dioxide in your system.
Right.
Lowers your pH, calms you down.
Right.
I got a customer he's a virologist, and he's also a surgeon. He invented an operation, the parathyroid operation. He actually invented the operation. He says that surgeons don't wear masks for more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to take it off for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's not good. It's not healthy for you. And they got people wearing. I see people wearing masks driving their car.
I was going to say the same thing here.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
they're ridiculous. And he says gloves, surgeons' gloves they wear them for a reason when they're opening somebody up,
right?
Working, you know. He says you put a pair of gloves on and you go into, I don't know, Lowe's, and you're wearing gloves and you touch something. And whatever was on that is on your glove. And now every single thing that you touch for the rest of the time that glove is on has that stuff too.
Right.
So what are you doing? And he says the best thing you could do is walk around with a little bottle of hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
Every 20 minutes or so, clean your hands.
Yeah.
He said lose the mask, because even that N95, he said it's a bacterial mask. He said, and the molecular size of bacteria is about 1,000 times larger than a virus. He said, and the analogy he gave me, he says it's like it's the amount of gap in the fibers is the same as if you took a hot dog and threw it down a hallway. All of that air that's around it.
That's a nice analogy.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
But you know, Fauci and his gang, they're gonna tell everybody how it's got to be.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Anthony Fauci.
He's an idiot.
He's a government drone at this point.
He stands to make billions of dollars with his Mr. Microsoft pal.
Well, that's if you do any homework on Mr. Fauci or Anthony, he's neck deep in this new drug, this new wonder drug. That's why they didn't want to touch hydroxychloroquine and zinc and Z-Pak, because nobody's going to make any money on that.
Yeah. Right.
But this new medicine, this new crap, oh, he's neck deep and going to make cash on that. So
check this out. Today on the news, they had the news was doing a thing about Trump went to go visit a Ford plant. So everybody's been cleaning the hell out of everything. That's just what they're doing. They're sanitizing every single thing that could be sanitized. Everybody in the plant has orders. They got to walk around wearing masks. So Trump shows up. He's not wearing a mask. Okay. So now the press, doesn't matter where you went, CNN, NBC, ABC, all of them. Why is it that Trump refuses to wear a mask when everybody else wears a mask? And I look at it from the logical point of view.
He's safe.
Sanitize the shit out of the factory, and every single person in the factory is wearing a mask. How's the guy going to get sick?
Right. He's isolated.
That kind of common sense, they'll never speak of.
Good point.
well, I mean,
he whipped out his mask. He pulled his mask out of his pocket. He's like, I got a mask, but I'm not wearing it now. I don't need
John, you know that Trump could say up, the press is going to say down. He could say left, they're going to say right. They're going to say, potatoes, they're going to say potatoes. Whatever he says, no, he's an idiot. I've had to explain that to my son and my daughter, and they're like, why are they? And because they didn't get their way, they're all butt hurt, and they're just going to do anything they can to try to get him out.
I know.
And I mean, they need to perp walk the whole the whole upper echelon of the FBI and Comey and McCabe and Strzok, and all of them need to be perp walked and be in prison, because any of us done a third of what they did, we'd be under the jail.
Oh, no, we're having demonstrations here to let prisoners out of jails.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll arrest a woman that opens up a hairstylist place because she's got to feed her kids.
It's on the news. There's actually demonstrations at the jails. Hey, I guess everybody's looking for their opportunity, But Carl, I got to say, you guys are keeping abreast of the car world as usual, with a couple of great articles that just came out in the last few days on Automoblog.
I read them every day.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't, but it's fantastic.
Thank you. I was working late. Yeah, thank you. I was working late tonight because I've got several more articles I want to put out, including five best car batteries for hot weather.
Oh.
Which, a lot of times you think, cold weather with a battery. Well, hot weather can be hard on a battery too. So
I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I want to get that up tonight. There's a new Volkswagen Golf, like a hot hatch GTI thing coming in 2022, and then the new Toyota Venza crossover SUV. So we got a lot of consumers with families and stuff, so they might appreciate reading up on that and just seeing if it's worth their time and attention to take it for a test drive. But yeah, man, just working late and trying to keep pumping out content. So
I'll tell you, when I was in the automotive business in the summer, we had more failures in the summer than in the winter. And it was all due to batteries,
Right.
The heat was worse. I mean, you expect they always die in the cold, but the heat was a real killer.
Do you have any articles that compare wet cell to AGM?
So that's a good question. We probably should do a separate article. So all the batteries on this list are AGM. There's 5 of them. In fact, let me pull it up here because I can tell you guys what 5 we're using. But everything on this list is AGM.
You got Odyssey on it?
No, there's 2 Optima batteries. Let me go to my second screen here. There's 2 Optima batteries. There's an Exide battery. There's a Die Hard battery.
Diehard makes an AGM? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but okay, so here's the really weird thing on the Diehard battery, right? Like, we have links on where you can buy these batteries, right? And like, I'm looking around, like the Diehard battery this Diehard battery lists on eBay for almost $1,000.
Oh, geez.
And is that like, there's no way that's normal. Like, I don't know if it's a typo, but so like everything on our list is, between $220 and $400 for these AGM batteries. But this Diehard one, I don't get it. It's not available on Amazon. So the only place we can find it is on eBay, but it's $1,000. So
Wow.
I'm like, so we're like, I put in here, I'm like, this is a good battery, but we just, probably buy something else on the list, but here it is. But,
the AGMs are heavier, so I guess depending where it's coming from, the shipping, the freight's got to be factored into that.
Right. Well, I looked at Sears, like, because that's initially where I thought, well, they're all out of stock on Sears. You can't. Yeah. They're out of stock on Amazon, and so I'm like, well, I'll put a link in here to eBay, But I just said, like, when we wrote this, if you really want it, here it is. It's a good battery, but like we have a Bosch, we have 2 Optima batteries, like we have other stuff on our list that's probably better suited, but yeah, so it's all AGM batteries. We kind of give an overview of like the difference of the AGM design. So we talk about the fiberglass mat, and then we kind of go into some of their, like, we talk about vibration, like how battery vibration can reduce lifespan.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think a lot of people think of that. And then we go in and we kind of give a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's an Optima.
Red top Optima.
Yeah. Okay. So what one is that, John? What's the serial number on that, or what's the number?
Well, these came out of the Trans Am, and I don't think they're anywhere near being new.
Okay.
It says red 7535, model 9083561.
Okay. And we've got models. So we got model 8002002.
This, I think, is what they call like a group 24. It's small.
Yeah.
Car stuff.
So we've got a group 34 on this list, and we've got a group 35 on this list.
Oh, okay. So this is a 35 then.
Yep. But the second Optima battery that we featured, so the 8020 164, that's a group 35. It's red top.
Yeah.
It's got an hour and a half reserve energy, but it's I think it's the smallest battery on this list.
Yeah, this has got a 90, and it's says 910 cranking amps or 720 cold.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we have here too. 720 cold on this Optima 8020 164.
Yeah. And these are like real popular for pro street, hot rod, that kind of stuff. Because they're compact. They're heavier than hell, but they're compact.
Yeah. Right.
But
so this,
I heard some stories. Maybe you would know.
Yeah,
People have said that these used to be great batteries until they started making them out of the country, and now they're inconsistent. Which I don't know where they're making them, because I didn't really look it up, but that's what I heard.
I've been having trouble with interstates over the last few years.
I used to use interstates all the time. They were great, and interstate guy would come right to the chassis shop.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, Ray, you remember Deca batteries?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Deca was great because we used to run those into forklifts and all the industrial stuff. But now, hell, you can't down here. You can't find Deca anywhere.
Good record label too.
Yep, absolutely.
Deca Records, yeah.
What part of Michigan are you in?
Detroit. I live in the city.
Automotive City.
Yep. Right in the heart of. I've
got family in East Detroit.
Okay.
Been there since the 50s.
Yep.
Yeah, back.
Yeah.
Depending upon how old you are, if you remember WRIF and WLLZ and all of the great rock stations out of Detroit in the 80s and 90s. And
WRF is still here. They're still rocking the riff.
the riff.
Yep, the riff.
I'm not
Yep,
sure if I
there's-
don't think LLZ is around anymore.
No. But yeah, WRIF is a mainstay classic. You know, they play new stuff, but they play the older stuff. They play the older hits. You know, you have some, you know, Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, like, you know, old classics and stuff like that. But they play a lot of newer stuff too. It's good station, cruising around. You know,
I'm pretty sure that last time I heard it, because I've got, like I said, I've still got some family and a lot of friends that live up there in East Detroit. That JJ and the Morning Crew and all that stuff, they're gone. So
yeah, it's Dave and Chuck the Freak now. That's the show now.
I'll date myself. I was painting some doors yesterday, and I said, I got to put some music on. What am I going to listen to? Humble Pie Smoking.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's
You know what I've been listening to? I listened to today was the day I had to do some traveling.
Yeah.
Sirius XM 313 Rock Bar.
Oh, I'm not aware of that one. Okay.
What's that, John?
It's a channel on Sirius XM. It's like all just real good rock.
I got
Every now and then a guy comes on and he gives you the recipe for a rock and roll drink. So that's real cool. And then I found another station.
Is that drink to wash down a rock and roll stew with?
Yeah, right. And I found another station today that on Sirius XM. It's further up the dial. I forget the number. It's nothing but live.
Okay.
Yeah,
every single song from every rock band is, and I'm talking about from like the Beatles all the way up. Everybody could think of Eagles, every Zepp, all live stuff. And it's great. It's like literally like being at a concert.
Yeah,
not
really good.
Ray,
Rock Bar looks awesome. Like I'm looking it up. They got a cover band night thing on Thursday nights. Like that's kind of cool. So I like classic vinyl. So I'm sure
I listen to classic rewind.
Channel 26.
Yeah,
and
both of them.
And then deep tracks, because deep tracks is right.
Tracks, yeah.
27.
Those are the three, yeah. And that's the Zip channel.
And every once in a while, I listen to Studio 54.
Yeah, right.
38. 38 was my road channel.
Yeah.
Oh, what did they call 313 again? What was the name of it?
Rock Bar.
Rock Bar, right.
Rock Bar Radio. Yeah.
Ray.
And then go further up the dial. I think like maybe 2 or 3 more, and you'll find the live channel.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Ray, I was going to text you when I first popped on there and I saw Terry.
Yeah.
I wanted you to jump on him for me since I wasn't on the screen yet.
Oh, about the engine test.
Big John, I found this video. If you know who Richard Holdner is.
Yeah.
He did a video. He took a DZ, and they built these motors. They built a DZ302, not with the not with the vintage stuff, but just to build this is the spec and build the motor. And they built a Boss 302.
Right.
Same thing. Just they took the parts and they built them period correct or spec correct. This would have been a head. This would have been a cam. This would have been, everything. And they built them and then dynoed them. And point blank in the video, Holdner, who's really highly respected on the West Coast, as far as dynos and engines and stuff like that, point blank says, he goes, the LS had a copy of a Ford head, and I just started rolling, and that's when I sent a link to Ray and the video, and then I tagged Terry on Facebook because he will not admit anything about the LS motor being a copy of a Ford head.
It was a very
comprehensively.
It was comprehensively done. It was very well done. He backed it up with the dyno results, And that's the way a video like that or an article should be done. You present the facts in a comprehensive way and let people draw the conclusions. There was no tricks.
He's got a part 2 on that, Ray, where they hop them up, where they go, okay, these are stock. We've run them. We've got the numbers. All right, now let's hop them up. I hadn't seen that video to see what makes, but what I like, as you're saying, being comprehensive, he really goes through the difference in philosophy. What Ford was using higher intake velocities and higher compression, where Ford was running, or what was it, more flow, and the differences in smaller, a little more camshaft and versus, not as much camshaft, a higher compression. And
I just read a couple of old Superstock magazines, Superstocks from the 70s. I sent John some of the, and actually it's another book I just read about the Chevy drag racing from the 50s to the 50s to the 80s. But, guys like Richie Zool and who else? There was a couple of when they were downsizing the big blocks, they were going to smaller engines, but who was it that said it? I can't remember who said it. He said, basically we're using the same heads, and the heads what flows the air. It's like just putting we're putting just big heads on smaller engines and just having a ram effect. And when they downsized the big blocks in the fuel classes, they just started going faster. And said, it was just something we never thought of doing before. I mean, this is like, obviously, 40, 50 years ago, but
right.
Well,
I got to remember that I'm reading something that's older, but everything that followed just keys in off of that.
Well, you remember how dominant Bob Glidden was in the pro stock fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Bob was basically running a Cleavor.
Mm-hmm.
He was running a Windsor or de-stroked Cleveland for a while, but then again, they kept penalizing him, making him, because he was running like a 370 something, like a 377, 374, basically, a stroked Cleveland or a de-stroked 400. I'll have to send you that, Ray. That Holder's got an article on the 400 modified, and he goes, people look at that motor wrong. He goes, they look at it as like a truck motor or whatever, and he goes, let's scientifically look at this 400, motor. He goes, it's basically a stroke Cleveland. He goes, they don't build these motors right because they're not looking at them right because they've got the big heads.
This is cool. Drag racing from Chevy drag racing from 55 to 80 Ferraris and all the guys that we know and love in here, and talking secrets of the day and whatnot, and it's cool to see what these guys went through.
Have you found, Ray, the Smoky Unique files?
They're on my computer at work, which I can't get to.
I read stories about how he used to put lead inside the rocker panels and grease the rockers so the lead would slide forward and backward.
Yeah, I heard about that. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and that stuff he did to that Chevelle.
Oh, yeah.
How he modified that Chevelle, but they didn't know it for like, I guess it was
the little car,
10 races.
That's the problem with being home. I'm catching up on reading it, and I'm reading books like this. I'm reading the old Superstocks and old magazines. I don't remember where I read it, but there was another guy. They were recreating an old race car from somebody famous, and they said, we're finding all of these tricks and all this stuff that was done to just cheat the system with work within the rules like Unique was doing. And they're like, we had no idea that this, they went to this length with this car.
Well, Vic Edelbrock said that because he ended up with one of the Chevelles or one of the cars that Unique had built, and they were restoring it, and they had a team of guys working on it. And he goes, every day these guys come, Vic, you got to come see this, and looking at it, and it's some little minutia where his philosophy was, if it didn't say you couldn't, and that was his philosophy. If it didn't say a nut or a bolt has to be here and give specs and dimensions, he says that bitch is fair game in his eyes. But he also said, in his later years, he goes, in his later years, he says, we tried a lot of things and we did a lot of things, and he goes, honestly, some of that was wasted effort, but
sure,
you
yeah.
don't know until you do it.
Right.
You know, is that going to make a difference? And he goes, some of it worked, a lot of it didn't, but you know, you don't know till you try it.
Wasn't a lot of that stuff on that Chevelle like 7/8 scale?
Yeah, I heard that too. Yes.
He was one of the first ones to run a belly pan, because people don't realize that he was Smokey was big into airplanes. He was a pilot. He understood aerodynamics.
Right.
So, you know, that's when he started doing the belly pans and stuff, trying to move and manipulate air. Yeah, and I
always think of that. I always think of that when I see a car doing this, and you see that flat belly pan, you're like, yeah, the aerodynamics, man. It's just smooth. It's a wing underneath.
That's the problem with them. A lot of cars, well, let's say in the 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of pro stocks and pro mods ran sheet metal under the chassis.
Right.
Thinking that it was going to be smoother, and it turned out that it wasn't. And if air got under there, it just acted like a wedge.
Yeah. One of the prettiest things I've ever seen is the underside of a NASCAR car.
Yeah.
You know, it's not fully flat. There's, you know, it's
well, that's the way it is now. There's areas where they will flatten it under the tubing.
Right.
But there's other areas where the flooring is above the tubing, and that allows to be able to break up what's going on under there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he was working on the 57 Chevrolet with fuel injection, and they were working on the car. And he goes, on the dyno, the thing made good power. He goes, you put it in the car, and he goes, quote, it wouldn't pull a sick whore off her piss pot. And, you know, they're running, you know, and he's got Paul Goldsmith, and they're running down the road, and he's looking at a manometer, and he's like, man, this thing is just underhood pressure is just nuts. So he goes, he reaches over and he opened, you know, because back then they had the glove box was an option and all that. So he goes, he snapped the drawer for where the glove box should be. And all of a sudden that's letting the underhood pressure out of the engine bay into the car. And he goes, it knocked me on my ass. I'm in the back seat. And he says, now we're running about 140 down the road where we were barely running 120. And he's like, Goldsmith is laughing his ass off because the car took off. And so what he did is he took two 90-degree tunnels and was moving the air from under hood and getting it out. And he goes, the underhood pressure was driving the injection dead rich because it worked off pressure differential.
Yeah.
So once he got it where it wasn't pig rich, it started making power again.
Sure.
That's what they claim those vents and the fenders of a Trans Am do.
Yeah.
What,
no, you know, there is something to
underhood?
that. You know, I can show you on my Pontiac. I have two ovals drawn in chalk on my fender wells because I'm thinking about putting vents in,
right,
for temperature. And I found a guy who did it on a Tempest, a '63 Tempest, and he did it scientifically. First, he put like strings under the in the engine compartment
where the air's moving,
and he looked at how the air was moving. Right, and there's some viable information there, and I have the rough out. I just could never decide if I want to use dimple dies to make the holes, or if I want to do a louver, or because like this guy, he did it with like a double wall, because you're going to get slag, road dirt coming up and crap. Yeah. So there's you want to kind of baffle. So I haven't engineered it yet, but I have the rough. And everybody, people ask me, what are those ovals for on the wheel wells? Like, scientific project, super secret. I can't tell you.
Can't tell you.
Air control means a lot.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, air control means a lot. I remember when I first put the 81 together, and I took it was like a 16-inch or a 17-inch fan that the Corvettes used to use then.
Yeah.
And I built a full shroud around the radiator from tank to tank. And when I was driving the car, the temperature would go up. When I got speed going, you would go from 180 to like 200. But then you'd pull up to a traffic light and the fan speed never changed. And all of a sudden, the temperature would go down 20 degrees.
Uh-huh.
So then by putting some holes in the shroud, then you would allow air to flow through when in other words, when the speed of the air coming through the grill is faster than what the fan can pull out on its own, it goes out through those vents.
Yeah,
and then the temperature wouldn't change at all. It would stay at a consistent like 185.
Right.
So
I had a similar problem.
is everything.
I had a similar problem with my car, whereas I'd be on the highway and jam it into fifth, and I noticed my temperature would go up like 20 degrees. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, what happened here? I put it in fifth, and the RPM dropped a couple hundred RPM. Like, the water pump isn't turning fast enough. It's like the car's running at like 1,700 RPM at 70 miles an hour. It's like,
sure,
I got to either like overdrive this water pump, or what I did is I bought what's called a flow cooler water pump. It's got a billet impeller that it moves more water at idle than the stock pump does at like 2,500 RPM.
Yeah,
that's what I had to do. I had to move more water because it wasn't moving fast enough to cool. And it's funny, you can see it. I'd get on the Meadowbrook Parkway, get it into fifth, and you just watch the temperature gauge go up. Like,
sure,
holy crap, Yeah. Air and fluid flow, definitely. Got to pay attention to that.
So Ray, that reminds me of something we have talked about before, and I know you've said this, that when you take your car out, you've got that sticker or that badge that says "Built Not Bought."
No, I want one of them. Everybody else has them, but me.
Yeah. So we've got to get that for you. But you're reminding me what you're saying is that's exactly what that is. It's sometimes the "Built Not Bought" mentality is a one at a time thing. Go out on the road, you make an observation. I got to fix that. Pull it back into the garage, pull it back into the shop, or as we always say on Twitter, you guys are in the studio. So I always like that.
Right.
So you go to your second studio, which is the shop.
John and I talked about it all the time. These cars are really never done. You know, people say, "Oh, no, it's not done," because there's always something to tweak or something to maximize or make better. And that's what it's about. That's the hot rod spirit, if you will. And if the car was bought, you'd be taking it back to the guy and paying somebody money to fix this problem instead of taking it and figuring it out yourself.
But for a lot of guys, that's all they need.
Right.
In other words, they have the money, and this is what I want. You do it.
Right.
Every one of my customers at the chassis shop.
Hey, it keeps businesses alive.
They were car guys.
Sure.
But they couldn't build a car. So boom, pay me. I build the car. Give it to you.
Well, you got to face, not everybody can build a chassis. So that is very special. Or like an engine, not everybody can build a motor or a transmission.
Well, like the guys that that go to a car customizing company. It's like I want an Eleanor. Build me an Eleanor.
Right.
But if the Eleanor overheats, he doesn't know nothing.
Right.
He's gonna call the dude that built it. It overheats, or he's gonna call his mechanic.
Right.
Who's going to come over and he's going to flatbed the car somewhere. And
those are the calls that I get when I get a call like, "Hey, we got a guy with a car."
Okay. $1,000. All right, no problem.
I get the call. We got a guy with a car. It's doing this. Can you take a look at it? And I got to come in and look at a car that I've never seen before. Have no idea who built it, what parts are in there, how many iterations of changes have been done, and try and make. And you got to do it like now. The guy wants it back tomorrow.
What do you mean you can't tell me what's wrong with it over the phone? It's doing this thing. It's just it won't start. You can't tell me what's wrong with it.
Right. Yeah. I have a thing on my phone. It's like the Swami with the headdress, and he's like, it's like how to do car diagnostics on a radio show. It's like it's like a crystal ball. And I love it. People say my car is doing this or not doing this. What do you think it is? Like, how do I know? Get the
right. I don't know. I can't diagnose it if I can't touch it.
That's the thing. Everybody, society wants an answer. Everybody wants to know now. And and I'm a big fan, and Joe even more so than me. It's like it's diagnostics. You got to go through. I did that. We're doing that. We're going through that with Al right now with his truck. Unfortunately, I had a really bad phone connection, but I said, Al, you got to do the diagnostics. You're going to need a scanner to look at the body control modules. You have to see, you got to call roll and see who's there and who's not there, and then start drilling down. I mean, you could guess at it, but it's not the right way to do it. And people get pissed at me. They're like, you're always so big into these diagnostics. How come it takes so, like, well, listen, your doctor, you think your doctor is smart. Yeah, there's things you see by repetition, but you always got to verify,
That's it.
Right.
Well,
That
that's when you tell them I'm a mechanic, not a parts changer. If you don't know the difference,
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah. Very true.
Because I think you and I were talking one time about, or it was one of the cars or something up there that you were talking about. You had gotten drug into a deal like that where a parts changer had done something, and all of a sudden they're back, and they're like, "Well, he just changed his part, and it's still doing it." And it's like, well, pretty obvious that wasn't the problem.
The Chevelle we're restoring, the starter was still, it's making noise. I got 3 shims in it. And I told him, I said, this thing you bought it new. We know what new means, right? Never, ever worked. Thank you, Joe. And it was a nice, beautiful looking starter, and it had a sticker on it that said Remy. And it fooled me for a second. And I was a starter rebuilder. It said Remy. It didn't say Delco Remy. It just said Remy. So that, it's like, you son of a bitch. I took the starter apart, and everything in it was fine. The armature was good. The field coils were good. The brushes were new, but the bushing in the nose, I have pictures of this, was half gone, just half worn away. I had to take a nose out of my stock and swap a bushing for this thing. So again, you don't know. Now the carburetor that he bought, the car's running rich. It's Quadrajet. You can't get adjustment on it. I said, no, it's an internal problem. We took it apart again, checked the float. I said, you know what? I did this last summer. I said, the float calls like anywhere between, most of them are a 1/4 inch, some are an 1/8. You go to look at the number on the carburetor to verify it. The numbers were filed off on the carburetor. I said, who does that? You do that to a gun, to a hot 45, you file the serial numbers off. You don't do it to a Quadrajet. Some idiot took the serial numbers off. I said, so my gut tells me, okay, most of them are a 1/4, some are an 1/8. I'm going to drop it just a hair under a 1/4, and when I pulled it apart and checked it, that's exactly where it was, because I was the last guy in there. Yeah. So now he's going to buy a new carburetor. I said, yeah, I think this one has just got a mismatch of parts. It's just wrong. And so again, he's buying all these new restoration parts that are not right. And
Ray, I can't tell you how much, Ray, I can't tell you how many small blocks I've seen that the starters make noise and grind and this, that, and the other. And you take that little bracket that they take off and never replace on the back of the starter and put it on, and it goes, all that noise and grinding and all that goes away.
I'm glad you said that, because I'll make a shout out to All American Muffler, because he took the Chevelle up there to have the tailpipes fit and welded on. And while he was there, he said, I'm going to have Joe Mouth is the guy that works there, because I'm going to have Joe.
Joe's a good guy.
Yeah. Joe Mouth is still there, because I'm going to have Joe put a starter in the car. I'm like, okay. So now the next day it's back at our shop and the car's on the lift. I said, you know what? I got to look at something. Woo, nice starter. Like, where'd he get this? I said, but let me take a look. And they said, what are you looking for? I'm like, you know what? Kudos to Joe. He put the bracket on the back that I made sure was on the back. I said, nobody bust their ass over that thing except someone who's been bit by it. I said, Joe, big.
Joe's a good guy. Remember when he used to have that 442 with the blower?
I do remember the 442. Yeah, he's still moving.
He had a big old green. What was that? Like a 69 or a 70 or something?
Around it, yeah. He's got his 10-year-old daughter working in the shop with him, pulling engine apart now.
He had this big, giant 442, weighed like 4,500 pounds.
Yeah,
with a blown big block in it. That was crazy.
He's still doing his thing, man.
I know. He went with me when I went to Street Outlaws in Memphis to run against JJ.
Yeah, Joe's a good guy.
He had his Camaro. He's got that 3rd gen Camaro.
Right.
Yeah,
Joe's a good guy.
He's great.
Ray, it's like you said before. If you're really going to commit to a project car, you've really got to be all in. You've really got to be, because how many times do you hear stories of somebody bought something, they get about a quarter of the way in, and then they have to sell it or scrap it, and the next thing you know, the guy's on Pawn Stars trying to sell it, because he bit off. And I think, Ray, that's one thing we have talked a lot about, because I think it's easy. You go to an auto show and you see the cars on the street and you see the finished product and you go, wow, I mean, I want that too. And of course, who doesn't? But what you don't see is all the work to get that car to the show quality that it is. Like,
oh yeah,
that's a long haul that I think maybe new collectors don't quite understand yet. You know what I mean?
We're now
Ray, I
under a minute.
can't find my carburetor.
We're now under a minute, and we're going to get chopped. So
Yeah.
I can't find my carburetor, Ray.
In the back of Vince back there, it's like two China symbols.
What?
Right?
Yeah, they do.
Like, what's he doing with some splash symbols? I don't know.
Hey, thanks for inviting me on, Ray. I came late to the party, but thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great having you, Carl. Anytime you want to come around, man. It's one big happy over here.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Problem.
Love it. I love causing trouble with you guys.
It's good. It's always good to get different ends of the spectrum too.
For sure.
And that's
For sure.
that's smart.
Yeah,
So
I learn a lot from you guys.
Vince is going to be